This is a California regulatory explainer on judicial review of regulations. California's government code in section 11350 provides that any interested person may obtain a judicial declaration regarding the validity of any regulation or order of repeal by bringing an action for declaratory relief in the Superior Court following the rules set forth in the California Code of Civil Procedure. Note that the right to judicial determination is not affected by a party's failure to petition or to seek reconsideration of a petition before the state administrative agency promulgating the regulation or issuing the order of repeal. The regulation or order of repeal may be declared to be invalid for a substantial failure to comply with California's APA or the Administrative Procedure Act, or in the case of an emergency regulation, upon the ground that the facts recited in the finding of emergency do not constitute such an emergency. A regulation or order of repeal may be declared invalid if either of the following two instances exist. First, that the agency's determination that the regulation is reasonably necessary to effectuate the purpose of the statute, court decision, or other provision of law that is being implemented, interpreted, or made specific by that regulation is not supported by substantial evidence. The second instance is where the agency declaration is in conflict with substantial evidence in the record. Now, the approval of a regulation or order of repeal by the Office of Administrative Law, OAL, or the governor's overruling of a decision of the OAL disapproving a regulation or an order of repeal cannot be considered by a court in any action for declaratory relief brought regarding that regulation or order of repeal. Finally, be aware that in a proceeding under this section of the Government Code, a court may only consider the following four items of evidence. First, the rulemaking file prepared by the adopting agency. Second, the finding of emergency prepared by the adopting agency for an emergency regulation. Third, an item that is required to be included in the rulemaking file, but it is not included in the rulemaking file. And fourth, any evidence relevant to whether a regulation used by an agency is required to be adopted pursuant to the APA. In Government Code Section 11350.3, it specifies that any interested person may obtain a judicial declaration regarding the validity of a regulation or an order of repeal which the OAL has disapproved, or for review of a regulation that has been ordered repealed, and they do so by bringing an action for declaratory relief in the Superior Court. Finally, the court may declare a regulation valid if it determines that the regulation meets the standards set forth in California's APA, and the agency has complied with all the requisite provisions of the APA. If the court does make such a determination that the regulation is valid, it may then order the Office of Administrative Law to immediately file that regulation with California's Secretary of State.